Welcome to our May Transit Riders Council meeting. We are very fortunate.
Yeah, please stop making noise. Thank you.
We are very fortunate that
Thank you.
MTA Police Chief Kemper was able to join us today. Many of you have expressed many concerns and have questions about what we're doing to address many of the issues that are happening in our transit system. Chief Kemper is fabulous. He has been doing a wonderful job, as the numbers will illustrate. That was going to be one of my issues in my chair and board report, but now that we have the chief here, I'm sure the chief will be giving us statistics. So thanks again, Chief.
Thank you.
And thanks to all your men and women, obviously.
Second that.
I third.
You want me to go?
Please.
So I'll, first off, what time is it? 12 o'clock? Good afternoon.
12:03, yes.
Yeah, I think 12 o'clock is that time. It's good afternoon.
It is.
It is afternoon, yes.
So I see we have people up on the screen. Could you guys and gals hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Loud and clear, chief.
I see Jason Anthony, my best friend up there. Oh, yes.
I'm here, Chief.
All right.
I'm here.
4:30 meeting with my mother.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So I'm Mike Kemper. I'm the Chief of Transit for the NYPD. Happy to be here. I am in my 19th month in this role.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Fun, yeah.
So we're calling it.
Call it fun.
Still smiling. That's good. Thanks.
You're still showing up.
Listen, I'm still full of energy. I believe in what I do. So I've been a cop for the NYPD for 33 years. I've had so many different assignments and so many different ranks. I could say this with certainty and with all sincerity. This is by far, being the chief of transit is by far the challenging job I've had in my 33 year career, that I can say. So much going on. I think I'll start, where we started the year, what we did in response, then, the results and where we stand right now, and maybe a little vision moving forward. Then we'll take some Q&A. I know Andrew asked me to be here, and, mom and raised no fool when Andrew asked.
You're so right.
Andrew gets. So, and I appreciate it.
If you weren't doing such a great job,
I'd still be here.
you would.
I would still be here. So look, January, early February was, again, I'm going to use this word, challenging. We all know that. Crime was up in the subway system. We had a handful of very high profile, really nasty, unfortunate, and to be quite frank, tragic incidents that occurred in the New York City subway system. None were connected, but all raised deep fear and concern for our riders. And it was generating significant media attention on the daily, nonstop, and understandably so. We recognize that from the highest levels in city government. Mayor Adams personally, this Commissioner Caban, authorized and directed additional cops to be assigned to the subway system. That started literally within the first week of February. And that increase included 1,000 additional cops a day into the subway system, deployed throughout the city. So it wasn't just Manhattan and or the Bronx or Queens. It was a deployment throughout the city, and it was a 24-hour deployment, consisted primarily of uniformed police presence. But I think it's very important people realize and recognize that there is a true plainclothes or undercover presence in the New York City subway system every day throughout the city. So that's very, very important, and look, the results were immediate. And as I'm talking, I hate to jinx myself, but I'm going to talk about positive, and I want everyone that's listening to me to realize and recognize that everything I'm saying is, we're not waving the flag of victory, I say. We clearly and truly and sincerely recognize that there's still a lot of work to do. But investments were made, results were accomplished. And we are not dominating news cycles with tragic incidents on the daily as we were just a few months ago, which is a good thing. It's something we should be proud of. And there's a lot of plans moving forward that are in the works, a lot of initiatives that are exciting, re-envisioning policing in the subway system. What are we doing now? What are other cities, not only in America, but in other countries that we're working with? What are they doing differently? It's real interesting just on that conversation. Just a few days ago, me and my team were on a Teams meeting, a video meeting, such as we are right now with my counterpart in London, the London Underground, the London Tube. We had a discussion, it was over an hour, and it was one discussion of many. There were so many similarities. I mean, I was like just taken aback, like, wow. And on both ends, it's almost as if the same issues that are affecting the New York City subway system are affecting the subway system in London. If we could take that and really apply it to every police agency that I discussed, and it was multiple throughout America, and just amazing where crime to homeless to mental health, we're not alone. What's interesting is, and why we have these conversations, is to see what other cities are doing in response. Are we missing something? There's something else out there, and what do they have to offer? What do we have to offer? And again, this is a work in progress, but in the near future, there's going to be a vocal announcement, probably mayor level, PC level, my level, on all these different initiatives and how we see providing public safety moving forward is going to look. There's going to be some similarities and there's going to be some drastic changes. So I don't want to get too far ahead. Give a little teaser.
Sneak peek. Sneak peek.
A little sneak peek of what's to come. We're not there yet. We're still, it's beyond the infancy stages. We're probably mid-project right now. It's a large project, but it's exciting. And it includes everything from, deployment, staffing numbers, uniform appearance, to a large emphasis on customer satisfaction, customer service, which is a large part of this project. So it's pretty cool and it's exciting, and we're always looking to do better. But January was up, we were up in crime, and look, I'll get right to the point. February, we were down 15% in overall crime. March, we were down 23% in overall crime. April, we were down 23% in overall crime. May is not over, but as of, I think I did that presentation this week to the committee meeting. I think as of going into this week, we were down, and forgive me if I'm off by a hair, about 11% in the month of May.
I was going to say 12 is what I remembered.
I'll
but
take the 12. Andrew says 11.6, we'll round it off to 12.
Absolutely.
And even if it's 9.1, we'll round it off to 12 today. No, but it's around that 11-12%, which is good, encouraging. And that includes all major crime, overall crime. And again, we recognize that the crime numbers is one indicator of how we're doing, but there's so much more to it. How do our customers, how do the riders feel? No, statistically, they need to be safe. And we say it all the time, they need to feel safe. That perception, that fear is I'll speak for myself, is by far the biggest challenge that we're facing as the NYPD of providing public safety, because look, we could, here's the facts. Out of all crime in New York City, 2% occur in the subway system. That's a fact. Right? Yet it dominates the news cycles. It dominates the fear. If you ask someone about what are they afraid of, riding the subway in New York. I just told you it represents only 2% of all crime in New York City. That's a statistical fact. 4 million riders a day, give or take, on average, but depending on the day, that's paid riders. Right? You know that there's a lot more. We're averaging less than 6 major crimes a day in the subway system. That's a statistical fact. I don't care what anyone says. Right? Out of those 6 crimes, 3 of them are grand larcenies on average, which is a property crime. It's a non-physical crime. Right? I said it the other day. I say it all the time. It's unfortunate. I wish we had no crime. Trust me. You show me an environment, a closed environment like the New York City subway system where 4 million riders are in and out 24 hours a day. You're not going to have any sort of conflict or incidents go on. It's just you're not being real. You're not being real. Our job is to prevent it, and our goal is to get it down to that 0. But when talking about perception and fear, what's really driving that is what people see when they watch the news. Social media, not existing just a few years ago, and just messing with people's psyches. Like when you see something every day, all day, your mind becomes messed with. And everything that people are seeing is happening. No one's saying what you're seeing is not real. But so much more was happening years ago, where you would want, how did we get our news just a few years ago? The newspaper or on the local news? Depending on what was in the news cycle that day, that's what you learned. That's what you recognize what was happening in the city. Right? Now with this, the advent bringing of social media, everyone's a journalist in their own way by taking, pictures, videos, and resharing and retweeting, and it's all over the place. And, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but this didn't exist a few years ago. So when people are saying there's so much stuff going on, actually there was more going on. It's just you're seeing so much more now because what you learned and saw just a few years ago was really controlled in so much by what they could put in the paper or what they decided to show on that 30-minute Channel 5 news cycle at the time. And then again, truth be told, what our riders see and experience when they come into the subway system. I got hit twice right away, right when I come in. Only green fare evasion. Right. And then I heard, positive over at Barclay. Don't think for 1 second. I don't personally, everywhere I go, when people find out who I am, when I was working on.
Your face has been in the news enough. Yeah.
When I was working in the street, it was always the car stop. Sorry, I got pulled over. I didn't do nothing. Now, I never realized just how many people depend on the subway system. Like everyone, wow. And everyone sees and experiences something different. So when they see the fare evasion, the disorderly behavior, the homeless, and then no suffering from mental health, the erratic behavior.
That's the one I hear about the most.
Yeah, and there's a direct mix or connection between some of the homeless and some of the mentally ill. Let's be true. Let's be let's speak the truth.
But only some.
I said some, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Scout program is helping to deal with
We'll
that.
talk about that. And we'll talk about part of our vision moving forward. And I want to get into that because it's important. And I think it has so much to do with fear and perception. Just doing this job, I think I'm, this experience is brought me to an understanding that I just wouldn't have had a year and a half ago. I wouldn't have had. But you know, it's what they see that really scares them. And it creates in their mind, if, you know, from talking to them of like, just, wow, you know, it's this scary place. There must be a lot of lawlessness in the subway system. So that's really what we're up against. We could have this, we would have a 4-hour conversation about this. How we're combating that perception, that fear, we're hitting that from many different ways. Look, the homeless issue is an issue. It's complex. It's an issue that didn't just start this year. It's an issue that we've been battling as an agency, as a city, as a subway system for years. It's complex in that it's not illegal to be homeless, right? And then, you know, as we say that, we also say the subway system is not a homeless shelter. You know, where do we find that balance? And where do we find that help? But more importantly, the help is there. And, you know, how do we can't force people to seek help in the form of a homeless shelter. We can. You know, that's just not how the laws are written. And that's, you know, that's a good thing. Just the envisioning police rounding people up and grabbing and putting them into shelters. But we try to coax. You know, and not just as a police department with partner agencies, experts, if you will, from DHS, DOHMH we work with the MTA, and we work with teams. I want people to realize and recognize every single day. And we approach people, we start that conversation, and we tell either him or her what's available. We provide transportation. And we try our best to offer services and get those people the help that they need. And rightfully so. No one should be reduced to living in the subway system. No one. We can do better. And there are better options for them. You know, year to date, 11,000 people. Year to date, we're in May, mid-May, third week of May, January, February, March, April. So 4 weeks and 4 months and 3 weeks. Over 10,000 people. We've had conversations with that we would deem as somewhat positive, and that they took us up and either, you know, went to a shelter on their own, or we provided, you know, transportation for him or her to get there. Over 10,000, closer to 11,000 people, you know, so far this year, just to show you just how much effort we're putting into this. Once they get to the shelter, you know, they're free to leave. It's not prison. It's not prison. And then, you know, we do have repeat customers, if you will. You know, there are repeat people that we run into that, you know, today they'll decline service. Tomorrow they'll accept, and that cycle goes on and on and on. As far as the mental health, very similar, but very different. In that there are laws on our side. Again, you know, it's not illegal to be mentally ill. It's sad. You know, it's sad. And again, you know, we say the subway system is not a mental psych facility. It's not a mental hospital. It's not. So the way the laws are written is, again, similar. We work with partner agencies, we work with clinicians, we work with nurses, you know, people that are educated and schooled and experts in that field all the time, every day. And we offer people assistance. Now, the difference between the homeless and the mentally ill is that if a person's acting erratic, and they're deemed a threat to cause serious injury to himself or someone else, we can, you know, we can remove that person, even if they don't want to be removed, for their own safety and the safety of others. So that's the real distinct difference when dealing with mentally ill versus homeless. And then what happens is we remove them either on the direction or guidance of a clinician or a nurse, or on the observation of a police officer. We remove them to a hospital, where they're treated, and they're seen, by a psych doctor or a psych professional in that hospital. And that doctor or professional makes a decision on whether to admit or not admit. So that's really the process, with the mentally ill on, how it works, and the clear difference that we do have that tool, if you will, for those people suffering most. But, by law, in order for us to remove without them wanting to, and some people are so mentally ill, they don't even realize and recognize that they are in danger of serious injury. That's sad, but there's got to be erratic behavior, and there's got to be the threat of serious physical injury to himself or others. Right? So it's got to really meet that criteria. Those additional assets are in the subway system. I'm going back to 1,000 cops a day. The protests that we're having throughout the city. So how they're funded, half of give or take, half is funded on overtime. The other half is funded on cops coming from other areas of the city to help their brothers and sisters in transit in a time of need. And to be quite frank, we were in a time of need, right? These protests, you can say whatever you want, they are a drain on resources. These cops are coming from somewhere. They're not all coming from transit, I can tell you. But they are coming from somewhere. So when you see 10 cops, 100 cops, 300 cops, policing multiple different protests, thousands of protests since October, they're coming from somewhere. And some of it is coming from the additional assets in the subway system. I'll end it with this. The good news is, and then I want to take some Q&A. The good news is that from the highest levels, the mayor talks about this in nausea. And it's very unique because the mayor was a cop. And not only was he a cop, the mayor was a transit cop, which is a benefit. I don't know how much of a benefit is that. And I say that with
You're being recorded.
yeah, I know. I say that with some. I say it right.
But he's smiling.
I say that because you can't BS the guy. That's the meaning. You can't BS the guy. The guy knows. The guy did the job. He knows what the cops are up against. He knows what's doable, what's not doable. I look at it like, it's a huge, a huge win for at least me, because when I'm talking, I'm a straight shooter. I always say, you might not like what I say, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And I have real frank discussions with the mayor, his team, the police commissioner, and he gets it. And there are people you could have conversations with that if you don't use the subway system or you never policed it, you don't get it. It's that nuance. So I hope I said something of value to everybody here. If I didn't, I apologize.
Oh,
I asked if the
really great.
No.
And you gave us a really great piece of news, which is that if only 2% of crime in the city is happening in the subways and 98% is happening outside the subways, you're safer in the subway than you are on the street.
I say this all the time, that, like, I wouldn't, but my daughter uses the subway. I say this all the time, and she gets embarrassed if she hears me on the news or something like that. And I'm proud to say it on so many ways. First of all, I'm a true believer in what I do. And I think people need to hear that. My own daughter is riding the New York City subway system. And if I thought the subway system was so out of control, as some people would like to paint the picture it is, and again, I'm not saying it's perfect. It's not perfect. There's issues. But I might shock some people here. There are people that speak, that have an audience, that have political agendas as to why, right? As to why they would want to paint the picture of the New York City subway system being out of control. People being killed, raped, shot. That is just not the case. It's just not. You
Thank
know,
you.
and-
Let's get you some questions.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of them.
Oh, and everyone, listen, I have to be in headquarters with the police commissioner at 1. So
What time do you need to leave?
12:35, 12:40,
At the latest.
12:40, I really.
Okay, all right, so we've got 8, we've got.
Ask
If we
16.
could do rapid
I
fire.
just, yep, I just want to do some ground rules. We're gonna do quick questions, no talking then asking. Just ask your question. Members
More than
first,
That way.
quick questions, quick answers. So Trudy, you had your hand first.
We talked before.
Yeah, no, it's not.
What I told you about before, but you remind me when I worked here of the police, the head of transit police, he was actually police, Bill Bratton, and I'm wondering if you have had any, because so many of the things that you.
Stop right there. I know where you're going. Look. This is my whole identity a cop. I've always wanted to be a cop. I came on at 20 years old. It was a dream. I came on in 1991. Start doing the math. Who was the transit police chief? This is one of the coolest stories I'm going to say. The icon, in my opinion, of policing leadership is a guy named Bill Brad.
And you remind me of him. That's
So
what I.
Bill Bratton, I'm a sergeant, I'm a lieutenant, I would see Bill Bratton, I'm like, whoa, and even now I'm like this guy, forgive me, this guy's like a godlike a figure, he is. Speaks well, he's had so much success, he revolutionized policing in the subway system. Heck, he revolutionized policing around the world. I think it's the coolest thing. I talk to the guy at least once a week.
Will you tell him
That's great.
That's well.
I like something, yeah, look, so here's the coolest thing. I went to lunch with Bill Bratton last week. I'm telling everyone in the room right now, I truly believe out of all his assignments, this is like someone like meeting the rock star of their dreams, like, you know, Axl Rose sitting down and sitting down with Metallica, like in my demented life, maybe Bill Bratton's it. And I truly believe his best assignment, or the one he really cherished most, was when he was the chief of the transit police.
Yes.
That is all the man talks about. He's so interested in what's going on. And I talk to him, I'm not gonna say every week, but I talk to him multiple times a month. He's an amazing man, and it's probably one of the biggest blessings that a guy I was watching for so long is now a guy that's in my life, and we spoke and I asked him for it.
That's really good
Thank you.
news.
Well, that's.
Hold on, Trudy, no, Stuart,
We have to
Stuart,
move on.
your one question,
I
Stuart.
had a mentally.
No,
ill
I'm
sister,
sorry.
and
Okay, Trudy, I'm sorry, we have to go on. Stuart and then Sharon and then Chris.
I want to thank you, Chief, and your team for all their efforts. When we were, as a group, listening to feedback on what they were going to do for fare evasion and different concepts to tackle that issue, I had asked the guest speaker if there was a pattern or profile of the people who were being arrested. Are we seeing repeat offenders? Are we seeing a particular age group? Are we seeing a particular? So, over the years, the police department's targeted their efforts to address patterns. So is there something you could share about who are the people committing the crimes?
So to be arrested for fare evasion, you're talking about the people.
I'm not talking, it doesn't have to be limited to, of all the crimes that you're making arrests for, are you seeing any patterns of who you're arresting?
Recidivist criminals.
They are recidivists.
Repeat offenders, and I talk about this a lot. Yes, people that have been arrested multiple times. Where is the accountability? Where is the where's the accountability? Where are the consequences? And how is this advancing public safety? Very quick, this uniform. Again, I'm going to speak my mind. Some people might not like what I'm going to say. Fact check what I'm going to say. People look at this uniform and where the end all. It's the police, the police, the police. You're responsible for everything having to do with public safety. And to a large degree, that's accurate, but it's not totally accurate. We prevent crime, we investigate crime, and we make arrests. Once we make that arrest, it's handed off to different stakeholders who have every say in what happens to that person. And that's what's great about this process. And I'm not saying the process isn't good. I think it's awesome. You know, there shouldn't be one entity deciding everything. So I'll call them stakeholders. There's prosecutors and there's judges, right? Prosecute and it's so much, they have so much to do with public safety. Because they're either prosecuting or not, they're recommending, consequences or not. The judge is either agreeing or not agreeing with the prosecutor's recommendations. So you got police, you got DAs, prosecutors, you got judges, and then here's the group that no one understands. So I'm talking to a sharp group in here, and I do this all the time, and I'm trying to make a statement. Where do you live?
Brooklyn.
Okay, no.
Oh, by the 76, Brooklyn, Red Hook.
Who's the assembly person there?
It's Marcella.
Okay.
Joanne's son.
Are you sure it's Marcella?
Marcella, for Red Hook, it's Marcella and Alexis.
So you got two assembly people.
For sure, Alexis is the city.
Okay. So who's your assembly person?
Is it true?
Okay, so here's my point. I'm gonna stop here for the sake of time. You are the outlying less than 1%. You're in that 99 percentile. So I ask that question all the time, and I don't care who the name of the assembly person is, it's just gonna drive my point. We're all bound by laws. Police is bound by laws. Prosecutors are bound by laws. Judges are bound by laws. Talk about bail reform, criminal justice reform. Do you know who made those laws that we're all bound by?
Legislators.
Say state legislatures. That's a fancy word for what? What person? What elected official group? Assembly people. So I ask 100 people, and I'm not exaggerating, sometimes 100 out of 100 have no idea who their assembly person is. And then out of the one, you're the outlier. I give you credit. I don't even know if that's who it is. It doesn't matter who it is. And then I usually follow up. Well, what's the job of an assembly person? Right? So there's a lot of this has to do with education, particularly when it comes to lack of consequences, recidivism. The mayor talks about recidivism all the time. People don't know. We get blamed for everything as a police department. People don't know how this process works, and they really, really should. We're out front. I'm sitting here right now. And then you got to ask yourself, why doesn't anyone know that? How come anyone? Maybe there's a reason. Maybe some people don't want you to know. Where are they? Because I'm here right now. I'm the face of public safety, answering on the news, the radio, good times, bad times. So I try to use a lot. It just isn't throwing anyone under the bus. We're all New Yorkers.
You're encountering recidivists is what you're,
Recidivism.
for the majority of
Put that up
the
recently.
majority of the arrests.
I have conversations about recidivism all the time. And yes, we arrest people. There are people that are getting arrested that have been arrested over 100 times.
What's wrong with that picture?
I know. Sarah.
Thank you.
Do you have time for one more?
I do, yes.
Sharon, and then we had Chris.
Yeah, two more, and then I gotta.
That's it.
Thank you for being here. Sometimes I see police officers in a corner or over at this, and I say, I wonder, why you aren't patrolling the track or the
Yeah.
entrance. And they say, well, we're told to be here.
Yeah.
But could you tell us, what is their instruction
Stand in a
of what
corner.
they're supposed to be doing?
Stand in the corner and play on your phone.
And on the phone, Sharon, you forgot that part.
And you know, Candy Crush was until this job. It's like a take, like, we're on Candy Crush.
I'm at 62,000.
So, there are some assignments where we call them fixed posts. And they're fixed for a reason. So what do I mean by fixed? They don't have much freedom to just disappear. So what am I talking about? Obviously, if you're assigned to a turnstile area, you don't have, we'd rather keep you there. I love turnstile presence, not for fare evasion enforcement so much, I just love the value of just having two cops at the turnstile. Just think about the eyeball context, people.
Mhm.
Everyone that comes in and everyone that comes out sees the cop. And everything, God forbid the cops needed, they know right where to go. Listen, we've all passed cops in a mezzanine walking down. You, depending on the time of the day or the station, you could turn around in 4 seconds and the cop is like, just camouflaged, like where'd the cop go? But if you know that there's two cops at that turnstile, what does that offer? To me, that's like so valuable. And I think a lot of it has to do with the perception and the fear is they're afraid, but when they see the cops, it offers them a sense of comfort. And where strategically could you get the most people to see? Well, if we could control when everyone comes in and everyone comes out somewhere too. So that's just one example. No one should be standing in the corner, not in public view. Everything, the posts that we come up with are, really, really well thought out. And they change sometimes daily, weekly, depending on, conditions. Today in the Bronx is a big rally in the Bronx. Obviously, we're gonna have a couple of stations like Crotona Park, right? But we can go on and on with stuff that goes out through the city. There could be a crime condition going on in Bowling Green. And certainly we're gonna shift people over with different assignments, but the platforms, I love the platform. With the cop standing where the conductor comes in.
That's
I
great.
love that because you have conversation with the conductor. No one knows their trains, what's going on, like that conductor or the motorman where they have conversation. So I like that. It's really, if you think about it, center. It's the center of the train. And then we have cops that roam, that walk around, they take trains, but no one should be on that. And, I wish I had a better answer other than that's something that we battle through supervision and through, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I see it all the time. I see the videos. I see it with my own eyes, but they're human beings. Becomes monotonous, is standing in the same spot for sometimes 12 hours.
Actually, in a very good spot.
And it irks me. Like, I look at it like, man, how much did I just lose by this 40 minutes that you're standing over here? And when I say how much did we lose, I'm saying the present, just the mere presence of a cop in the subway system is a big, big deal.
Yeah, and just like when they had the bag checks in various locations, when a perp or a would-be perp comes down the steps and sees police officers and they intend something bad, like fare evasion or something worse, they'll just go up the stairs again and go to a different entrance.
Yeah.
So, that's what we're dealing with.
One more question, then I gotta go.
This is me, Chris.
Yep.
Yes, Chief, as I want to say, one, thank you, what the NYP has been doing, but we still have to be concerned on something new. 21st Street, Queensbridge. We have a lot of homeless now, getting ready now, sleeping and smoking at the 21st Street Bridge. I did put it into the MTA app. I did, and it was forwarded to Megan. And Caitlin does have a copy. If she didn't, she'll let me know, because I did forward. But the bottom line is we need to work on that at all times.
I can short it down. I'll grab that, Mr. Commander.
Yes.
Could I take a picture with everyone and then?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Then I gotta get out. So that, I apologize,
No.
Andrew.
Yeah,
We have other questions, so we're gonna compile them and
Yeah.
and
we will
share
get
them
them
with
to you,
you.
absolutely.
I will, I'll come again.
Thank you, thank you, Chief.
I'll bring people from my team.
We appreciate it.
I love
Anytime.
this. I love this stuff. We're not shy, so thank you.
That's
Great,
great.
Thanks.
let's all area around, or
I'll come
one of
behind you.
you come here, okay, sit, and you guys wanna come over this way?
Screen?
Do we want the screen in the background so that we can see our people who aren't here
Yeah,
too?
but I gotta.
We
We
stand-
gotta do our best.
They're coming over here.
Okay.
Would you like it on your phone?
Yeah, please.
Take it. Yes, exactly.
So exciting that my card works so well.
Yeah, should I move this over?
Yeah.
Good, sit down.
Oh, we want to sit.
Yeah, everyone, the front row sits. Yes, do you wanna sit? Trini, sit.
I don't want
Okay.
to sit. I'm sure.
Okay, okay. All right. Cheeseburgers.
Can I come close? I'm a short person. I'll come close.
Okay, everybody ready? 3, 2, 1. Great.
What, that's one, hold on.
1, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will, I'll mention your name, thanks.
Now leave it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let us allow the chief to get to his meeting with the commissioner on time.
Yeah.
Speak to the commissioner on time.
Do it, I will.
Okay,
Okay, Judy, we have to let him go.
so we're gonna, now that we have a quorum, can we get approval of today's agenda?
Make a motion to approve?
Second,
Thank you, thank you. And the minutes, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Did. Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Wonderful. Let me get on to the chair report.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we have some,
First of all, that was amazing.
yeah, he's great. He's
Thank you.
I just was so happy he said yes to me.
And also, I'm sorry for everybody who wasn't able to ask questions. That you saw.
Yeah, please submit your questions and we'll get
Send
them
them
to
to
us.
us.
did you see the
You
space?
can
when I
send them,
mentioned Bill
yeah,
Brett?
you can send the questions that we were on.
I didn't
Mail,
know about that.
Judy, I'm sorry, mail@pcac.org. So if you want to send those questions and we'll compile them and send them.
That's why.
Okay, so let me start with some big Omni news that has been in discussion during Monday's committee meetings, where, as Lisa coined the phrase, we had a super committee, which was Transit, Capital Program, and the Joint Metro North Long Island Railroad Committee, all because Omni will affect all of those carriers, obviously. It already is on the buses and subways. This announcement is taking Cubic out of the picture for the commuter rails, where they were going to build and where they had a 2027 date. And they're going to continue to use their contractors that have been working on Train Time, which is a very popular app, which has like a 4.9% approval rating on the App Store, which is, as Rob Free says, is unheard of. And LIRR President Rob Free. And they're going to incorporate Omni using their own Scheit and Bachmann, that's their contractors on each of the commuter rails, into Train Time. So you will either be able to get the benefits of Omni using the Train Time app or a physical card like you can get in the city as well. And you will have the benefit of this years earlier. By the end of 2025, the commuter rails will all be part of this, not 2027, but 2025. Plus, the MTA is saving, I don't want to use a dirty word, but a load of money in this process. So this is really, really good news.
How did it come about?
Can I? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I
that's
didn't
my
hear you,
question.
Sharon.
How did it come about?
It came about because Cubic was dragging its heels on getting Omni into the commuter rails.
In-house ingenuity was ready to step up and take over.
Absolutely. And people realized they could incorporate it into Train Time, which so many people use and which has a really high rating among Long Island Railroad and Metro commuters. And yeah, getting it. But for those that aren't able to put it on a phone, you will have the benefit of a card. Also, Scheit and Bachmann also got a renewed contract to do the vending machines for Metro North and Long Island Railroad. And those machines are getting really old. So this enables them to move much more quickly to get new vending machines for the railroads. Yes.
Okay. If you recall, knowing the history of Cubic and how bad they've been, at a previous meeting, I had brought up why Cubic again. That I won't even ask because they obviously
They're the
had
makers of our
connections.
turnstile.
They also had
path
connections. I did my own investigation, but how were you able to get rid of Cubic is my question, not why they.
Paid them to go away.
No, I'm asking.
No, that's literally what happened.
They
Paid them to
got-
go away.
But we're still saving money.
They didn't want to leave. There have been incidents with them before, and so we must.
There was an agreement between various parts of the MTA and Cubic to keep them on for the subways and buses, incorporate them into some other places, like you know that they're on the Roosevelt Island tram and the
Yes,
air
yes.
train, but the
Oh,
commuter
oh.
rails will remain their own subcontractors, Scheit and Bachman. And this is good news for everybody.
Yeah, it
There
sure
were some
is.
speakers, I won't name them, but there were some speakers who just didn't get it and spoke against this, but the board unanimously approved this.
Yeah.
And full speed ahead, I say. Agreed. Okay, so one of my things was going, yes, Mr. X.
You know, it would have been nice if these car machines had arrived when they were supposed to. They were supposed to arrive months ago. So as I said before, late but not pregnant.
Yeah, they're really stepping up the distribution of omni vending machines in the subways. Very.
And even in my station, there's a machine, but, and it says coming soon.
Hey,
One of my,
train daddy,
Yeah.
the train daddy, not the sugar daddy, mentioned the Omni car
when he
4
was,
school years ago, it was
Yeah.
the class of 2020. It's 4 school years later, the class of 2024, and
He's on Amtrak.
Yeah.
you know, scam track.
Yeah.
But still, not that much progress was made, very less progress was made.
yeah, but it turned out, I don't know if anyone could have foreseen this, but it turned out this was a much more complicated process, getting it to all of these kinds of carriers. Commuter rails, subways, buses, making it interchangeable, incorporating fare capping, various reduced fare pieces of senior and a school omnis, those are coming, employee omnis, all of those things are coming.
Let's say, late but not pregnant.
Exactly. Let me move on. One of the things I was going to do was a crime update, but I knew that we were going to have the chief, so I will skip that. There's a wonderful move for electric buses. We have them on order. Of course, some of that does rely on congestion pricing funding, but there was a view they showed us of the new charging station at the Grand Avenue Depot in Maspeth. It's amazing. Buses come in, this thing comes down from the ceiling, charges the bus really fast, and the bus takes off. I mean, this is going to be,
5 minutes to half an hour.
I think it depends on how big a bus we're talking about, whether it's articulated or a single or,
It's 3 hour, it depends how fully charged, how charged
yeah,
it
but
is.
it's like 4 hours for a full charge of a big bus.
Yeah. If it's at 0.
And I think the Grand Avenue Depot is the precursor to having it at Jackie Gleason and a lot of the other large, but in the Bronx as well. There's going to be lots of electric buses. Our air is going to get cleaner. Obviously, if we get congestion pricing, our air will get cleaner as well. We'll get into that topic in a little bit.
Kalia has her hand raised.
Oh.
That about this.
Kalia, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today. The weather is a terrible thing on me. 2 questions. When you talked about Omni, don't forget we're Omni testers on Accessoride. Accessoride is testing Omni also.
Indeed.
So
Yeah.
everybody should know that we're testing Omni on Accessoride. My
That's great
question to
news.
you- Yes, we're working on it. The other thing is with the electric buses, what is the difference between what's happening now and what happened when we used electric buses before? Did we change vendors? Because I am near Bridge Plaza, and I know there were a lot of problems with buses breaking down, losing power. Did they change vendors in terms of?
I think it's a different system now, Kalia, to be quite honest. It's a newer technology and it's a new order of electric buses, and it will be a tremendous order of electric buses. We're supposed to be all electric by, I forget the year, 2030. It might be 30. It's accessible stations by 2050, 95% of the 472. That, of course, money for all of this relies on congestion pricing funds coming forward. So stay tuned, as they say.
There's also federal funding for electric buses and for conversion of some of the depots. And that's also part of the congestion pricing mitigation is electrifying buses and electrifying depots in some of the mitigation communities.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. May has seen some big ridership gain. which is wonderful news again. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are still the busiest days and weekends. And there are really a lot of tourists in town. I just cannot tell you how many tourists there are on the weekends that I'm helping with directions and everything. And even some New Yorkers are confused. There are so many geos going on these weekends. Really, a lot of geos. You really need to check the MTA's website or an app before you travel on weekends these days.
Yes, as you know, with the bus right across from.
Yeah, yeah. But where I'm going with that is, a day last week, it was announced that we had almost 4.2 million on a given Thursday, which is great. People, as the chair says, people are voting with their feet and hopefully with their Metro cards and not. Now, fare evasion is,
Mr. X.
oh,
Regarding the GOs,
yeah,
it would be nice if those sheets were still posted in the stations.
I see
They
'em.
moved them years ago.
I see them
I
on
think
poles and on poles.
people rip them down.
Yeah, people do rip, and unfortunately, they're left up well past the GO sometimes.
And if you don't check the dates, you think that's what's happening.
Exactly.
Yes, week, and then you're like, oh, and then if you look at.
Well, it's maintenance.
Rest them up on the columns?
Yeah, the station.
Excuse me,
They show all the lines.
Yeah, they do.
isn't the
That's in
main,
the main terminals.
I think the best way to do it, I have reported sometimes. Not that they're not posted, but that there's something there that's for 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And getting confusing,
Yes.
so I always report it.
I'm going to be talking to the
What-
subways about removing those outdated
Well,
signs.
but is it maintenance, responsible, the stations, maintenance?
You would hope so.
Taking them down at the end of the.
Aren't they, they're working on bringing them to the digital screens now too. I think we
The
heard.
digital screens show every line.
And they rotate. so
And
you
the
can't
detail,
tell.
There's something about station specific.
unless you can quickly and then you.
They
may
cycle
miss
very
your-
fast.
And then you may miss your train if you wait to see it again, which is even more frustrating.
Which is why the apps are so good.
Andrew,
Yes,
to answer some questions that I will add also is we have a new sign also out, like an example for today. They do have an accessible signage notice now. If, like example, because the Q train is one of them, I'm going to use an example today. It will tell you the last accessible station is Kings Highway. They do give you one option. If you're in Atlantic, please take the N train to Coney Island. If you're already past that zone, they're going to tell you to take the Q train to the Kings Highway and transfer to a B68 bus, which it has.
no, they're definitely giving
Oh,
accessible.
no, I just want to be
routes.
clear because part of active and as community outreach officer, I have to check these signs are in the right place for accessibility. Because as Mr. X is correct, we did catch, and I did tell the chief earlier, thanks to him, we have caught people ripping signs. They're not kids, they're adults.
No,
And
that's why I'm going to suggest, while it's great having the GOs and service diversions notices on the electronic billboards, that's really great. They should have a section where it's just the line you're on versus every line in the
some
system.
stations do have.
Some people cannot, some stations do, but all do not.
I do say.
And that would be a major improvement, so you don't have to wait through 22 lines to see it.
I think that what you're talking about, right, is if you're, hold on, Judy, if
No,
you're.
this is for Andrew to see.
I know, but but Andrew needs to be part of this too. That I think what you're talking about is that if you're riding the 6 and you want to know if you're gonna transfer, if the 4-5 is running, or if the 5 is running on the 2 line, how can you see that if it's only showing the 6, right? So it should, if you're looking at the whole system, or you eventually need to go over to the 2 and then you have to transfer to the 1, how do you know if everything is running so that you're not looking line by line and pulling it up individually? Right, so that it was a full system.
It was years ago at the stations. They had posters showing the weekday geos, weekend geos.
Yeah.
They started to replace them with digital signs,
Right,
which may or may not have seen, but I felt those paper signs were, they were available. They should have kept them posted. But
Put them down.
it's like,
more comprehensive, because it showed, so you could see where, if you needed to go on more than one line in a system, where you were going, what you were transferring to.
I need to move on, folks.
No, Andrew, This is
What are you
something
showing
I
me
discussed
quickly?
with you, the signed discharge on that I told you about.
I'll see that another time.
No,
That's not the-
because the signs, because the information is not always correct. This was for both the subway and there was a bus stop there.
I'll look at it there, I promise.
No,
That's not this particular discussion. This discussion is,
about signs that are kept up late or should not be where they are put.
right. So
And
let me go on to,
Kalia also has.
Kalia, is that hands up from another?
Yes, I'm sorry. That was about what you're talking about.
Okay,
Chris and I were out in Long Island for the new elevator opening, and we noticed that there were outdated maps. And we are pushing everybody to use the app so that they will be
Absolutely.
able to use the updated. I told all of my followers that those dates are outdated, those maps are outdated. And
are
that they
these Long
should.
Island Railroad maps you're referring to?
Yes, we already
That,
mentioned.
at that time, those were
Okay.
the Long Island Railroad maps, but of course, in the system, there are outdated old train station maps, but if you use the app, it gives you perfect directions. It gives you all the accessible stations. So I would suggest everybody push for people to use the app, especially if you need accessible stations.
Yes, and there has, thanks to my urging and others, there have been many updates to the new MTA app. Many updates, and the last update, which I have been pushing them about, was for the Long Island Railroad. It did not show trains that stopped at Hillside facility. Yes, it's not for the public, it's for employees, but your train stops there, it should be shown, and it now does show that. So I'm very happy to see that.
Eve is the time.
So
yes,
employees ride the
but-
train.
But in the subways and in the electronic billboards, they do have the latest maps because they can update them like that. And if you've noticed, the weekend service maps that are both on the MTA app as well as on the digital screens, they are not real-time weekend maps. There have been geos that are Saturday only, or they begin on Sunday and go to Monday, and yet they show it as the whole weekend, that service diversion. I am working on them to get them to be more real time. It doesn't help you if the geo starts on Sunday, but you're showing it on Saturday. Yes, Mr.
That's
X.
one thing, on the apps,
Yeah,
either computer and a phone, if you don't have either or both,
Thank you.
you're losing out. So you're gonna have to count me out like new edition.
yeah, that's why it should be on the screens. Trudy, what were you gonna say?
I guess we are in contact psychically or something. That's what there are a lot of people who don't know how to use apps, who don't have apps, but.
That's why we need them on the
You
screens.
can't shrug and say, well, the apps are brought up to date and everything else, especially people of my era, people that I deal with and at the seniors.
I'm of your era, I'm using apps.
Yeah, and I'm of my era and I use apps too, but a lot don't.
Okay,
And actually, and Mr. X is a lot younger than me, and he has just said he doesn't have to use apps either. So all I'm saying is that there has to be better communication.
thank you. Okay, we all agree on that. And that's why the screens are the saving grace for a lot of our riders. Now, fare evasion, there's some the chairman has been really adamant about that, as has, I hope he's still President Davy and others on the topic. And there are some real substantial movements going forth. One of those is new turnstiles are being investigated. They're looking at various types. Some are on order to be tested. I don't know if you heard about this, but SEPTA is testing a type at the 69th Street station on the Market Frankfurt line, on the border of Philadelphia and Upper Darby. The end of the western end of the Market Street line, 69th Street, Randy has sent around a few pictures of those. Those look pretty impenetrable. At the end of the blue ribbon panel on fare evasions, final report in Grand Central Terminal, we also saw some turnstiles that we all tried to penetrate many different ways. Fins are being added also to our turnstiles now, which are metal bars, so you can't jump over.
How do they work?
You can see them at 59th Street. They're up on the If you enter at 60th Street going on the downtown side,
You wouldn't want to hit your head on it.
they're between turnstiles, so that it's like a
It's a thing.
bank teller thing, so that you can't put your hand on it and and vault over. It's a piece of sheet metal about this high and this long
It
that
looks
goes
like
on
a
top.
fin. That's why they call them fins.
That goes on
because it
top.
looks like a fin.
Where the.
It goes between, yeah, it goes between each of the turnstiles, so that where people put their hands and jump, that you're gonna spike yourself.
Andrew, a quick question.
Yeah, I'm not done, but sure, go ahead.
Oh, on this
Yeah.
topic, since everyone.
That's the topic I'm still going on, but please go ahead. Ask.
So besides turnstiles in the fare evasion equation, are they talking about the the safety gates, safety doors?
Absolutely.
Right,
That
because-
was part of-
15
That's part of my
seconds.
report.
Great, because that's
There are
the most common
They're
form of
testing
entry
a
that I've seen.
15-second delay,
Right,
which New Yorkers don't want any delay when you're exiting. So
right.
there are those being tested. I asked at the meeting when they announced that, are you also testing whether these things actually lock? I know a lot of them that don't physically lock. And they said, that's a really good thing. We will go around and inspect those too. Because some of them, you don't need to push the thing. It pushes open. It just never locked.
They said that stations are supposed to do
It is.
that.
They're supposed to do that.
They're gonna check it more regularly.
There are more gate guards in place. I have seen some let people in, as has Trudy, as has others. So, yes, and we mentioned that to Chief Kemper while he was here.
I try to close them after me.
I do
and
too.
get-
But if the,
They are letting some school kids in who, if they really are legitimate, they have a school metro card and
Yeah.
they can get in for free anyway. So, but
I would suggest, like I did with Chief Kempner this morning and Andrew has done before, that anything like that you see, you've got to let the cops immediately know about it, even if it refers to cops who are not doing their job.
yes, absolutely. Mr. X.
So if we've got these thin turnstiles, you're saying you don't want to hit your head on them. You get sliced up. So that sounds like an ECW barbed wire match.
Right. So they're not overhead, they're hands.
No, there are some things that are going to be installed overhead so that you can't jump over.
But the ones that are installed now are not.
That's
over
right.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just cut your arms, your hands.
Right,
yeah,
right.
they're just
Right.
60 hands.
There are also much increased opportunities to sign up for fair fares. There are agents in place. There are, if you're caught evading the fare, you're immediately given an application for fair fares if you qualify. So they are really pushing that. And as you have seen, no doubt from the many communications from the PCAC office, we have come out in strong advocacy. Well, we will become, we issued something, I think, many times saying we're in favor of 200% of the federal poverty, not 120, which it now is. It was raised from 100 to 120. That's progress, but it's not near enough progress.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit more.
Yes, we are. Oh, you are. So that is happening. Student Omni cards will be coming around by the school session this September. So that is a big benefit. Hopefully they will use them. Reduced fare Omni cards for all different types of people are coming later this year. That will help fare evasion, we think. The last thing I would like to say, but because we have used up a fair amount of time, let me just finish this, okay? A lot of the improvements that I have spoken about are all subject to congestion prices going through. We expect a ruling from the judge within weeks, I'm guessing,
Only on the New Jersey. case.
only on the New Jersey
No,
case.
both cases.
Well,
there
there isn't a
are-
both
there are
because there's 6 of them now, or
There are
9.
9 cases.
It's unreal, but some of them are similar. And if the Jersey ruling is favorable, that will take care of some of the others, maybe not all of them. But I was really thrilled that Trudy ran into Sam Schwartz, the traffic guru, and had a good talk with him. I then had a later meeting with him. I was able to get him in a very timely fashion, because this is happening really soon, to be one of the speakers. And we have the IG at the full PCAC on the 6th. So that's going to be a hell of a double header. Don't miss that meeting. the Inspector General and Sam Schwartz. Sam Schwartz, it will have
Not
limited time,
together.
not together, no.
No, they're going to, one is what the
Yes,
inspector
they know
general.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's clear.
The IG will be first, and
Can
we've
I,
had him
can I
planned for
say
ages.
something about this? Because it's going to be Sam Schwartz, who I've known for about 40 years, and we reconnected again. And it turned out that he knew Andrew. not for
I
30
had him as a
years,
speaker
But
in my
had him
chamber.
as a speaker at the West Side Chamber.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful getting the two of them together after all this
No,
time.
it's
But
great.
better, Sam Schwartz knew about other citizen groups. He really didn't know about us.
But that's
Now
not
they-
true, because we talk to him all the time, Trudy.
Okay, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. He is very happy that he is going to speak with, and that it's going to be not only New York City Transit, but Long Island Railroad.
Yeah,
And
because
he is the
congestion
father,
pricing.
he is the father of congestion pricing. That's why some of you have heard me talk over and over and over again about congestion
congestion
pricing.
pricing affects the entire region, so it
Yeah.
made sense to be at a PCAC rather than a TRC meeting, where it would only get largely city dwellers. And that's all I have.
Andrew?
Yes,
There is one thing, just want to be clear for reduced fare Omni, because today, just for the record, because I did send this to Lisa and Cara. Today they're doing bus talks. One was, I did attend the one in Brooklyn. One is in Queens. I will be attending the one tonight at Manhattan if there's no thunderstorm.
it'll be over by 4 o'clock, so don't worry.
You're mouth the God's ears. Either way, they are encouraging people, and I, this is from Q, who told me about Trudy Q says hello. Let me just be very clear. They're asking everyone who has a reduced fare Metro card, please choose what you want, the app, the credit card, or the Omni card itself. There is a link. I did forward it to PCAC. Please let me know if you didn't get it. I will resend it again.
Okay.
So I just want to be
Thank
very
you,
clear.
Chris. Sharon, then Stuart, then Mr. X.
I don't know if but business went. I just want to make a quick comment.
Sure.
I go to Bayside 10 or 12 times a month from the middle of Manhattan. I go to take the subway to my car. I drive to Bayside. I drive back. My car broke. I had to walk to take the N, switch to the 7, get off at Main Street, get on the walk over, take the Q28 bus. It takes 10 minutes longer than driving. That's all. To do all those connections, it's efficient as opposed to driving.
Can I make one comment, please?
Yeah.
From where you live, the quickest way to
I know
base
there's that.
would have gone to Grand Central and taken the Port Washington branch from there.
Yeah, take the railroad.
They go from both terminals
But
now.
then you have to be the schedule. You have the schedule. You have.
It's hourly.
But no, it's better than that.
And no, it's half hourly between the two terminals and it's hourly from each if, you know,
Even so, you have to time it.
Yeah.
Whereas this way you just go. But I was just astounded that driving isn't that much more efficient than taking 3 forms of
that's
public
incredible
transit.
to hear. Stuart,
So you're not going to drive anymore.
I don't as much.
I had to step out for something when you were answering about the new buses that are being procured and the electric, the charging station. As we see with passenger vehicles, there are issues with the electric vehicles in winter months in terms of performance. And if you're using heating systems and other systems. So maybe it would be beneficial for us to have someone from the procurement team talk to us and whether they've factored that in.
for the electric bus purchase,
Yeah, because I don't know how many advances they've made on the passenger vehicle side, but if they've done something on the bus side.
I think they have made major advances. This is newer technology, electric buses, but we can have somebody.
Not the charging.
The batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the performance,
There has been,
Yeah.
there've been this next generation of buses and the ones after this.
9 and 10.
I think we want to hear a little bit more.
No,
Might be
that's-
supposed to have somebody to talk about procurement in general, not just the electric buses, but other new things that we are bringing in, because there are other new things besides electric buses.
How long do you have?
They're different. I think that they're different,
There,
animals a little bit. If we want to hear about electric buses and the sustainability and resiliency and
That's not
reliability
the
of
same
the
topic.
electric buses and how they charge. That, might be interesting for our August tour to go to one of the charging
We could do
garages.
that, yeah.
That's actually a good idea.
And then, if you want to talk about procurement, that
And
is
get charged
a
up.
whole nother conversation about the different processes in the MWPs.
Exactly.
and,
Or the visit could, or the visit with the bus professionals on site could maybe answer some of those questions for us about the buses they've tested and the
Yeah.
performance, and if they've experienced it in the winter or months where they're using
Sure, we'll work with Kate. Kate,
other systems,
we'll be in touch on that.
because it's a major investment.
Mr. X.
So regarding all these Omni card types, I still hope the odd couple can distribute them in a timely manner. You said again, we're getting later this year?
Later this year.
Okay, well, if we don't, I'll just blame them because I was.
We're all hoping for it, believe me.
He's not wrong, he's right.
We're all hoping for that.
Well, I mean, so far, the odd couple have been.
the odd couple, who knows of us who.
I'll tell you for this.
Okay,
I don't act funny.
we're gonna move on.
We have another question.
We do? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
My name is Robert Barrios. The free bus program is going on right now. Do you know how long it's gonna be?
September.
September.
The end of it. Okay, and the other issue is train.
Okay,
She's like a sardine can right now. Is there any plans later on to extend it from 5 cars to 6 cars?
yes. They're doing a whole host of GOs on the G train this summer. I'm sure you've seen it posted and heard about it. Court Square to Nassau Avenue is the first section, then it'll go down to,
Yes,
yeah, you saw it to Myrtle Willoughby, and then it'll go down to Hoyt Schermerhorn. There will be shuttle bus service in the interim. One of the things that elected officials from Greenpoint, Williamsburg, and even Long Island City and Bed-Stuy and everyone have asked for is longer G trains. So the G train shuffle that everybody has to run to get on it is eliminated. And I believe after this GO, you will see longer G trains.
And are there any plans, because of what a lot of people are afraid of is the weekend with the optional. And they're always saying, God forbid this train operator passes out something, how long before they realize someone's passed out, how long is it gonna take emergency people to respond?
We have the bar that the motor person, I don't want to call them motor men because there's females, plenty of them.
Train operator.
Train operator.
Train operator.
That touches, and you have to do it so frequently. If you don't do it, it assumes that there's something wrong and it stops the train.
Appreciate that good answer. And the last thing is, people in Red Hook are still looking for a bus to Manhattan.
So the relaunched petition.
And petitions. And one of the things we were thinking about, besides having a bus come from Manhattan, like from Brooklyn to Manhattan, try to get maybe an M9 extended from Lower Manhattan into Brooklyn to as far as IKEA. So basically, it's just a matter of, because I sent all these proposals to Andy Inglesby about the different, either 71 to 81 or the 27 going to Manhattan.
As well as the 51.
But the 51, I think it was just a big flop because they got stuck in traffic and then ran like Hayes Comet, just like the 57 is. But I'm thinking if we can get at least one bus to go to Manhattan from Brooklyn, because the issue is because of the BQE, it takes the 61 about 45 minutes just to travel about 7 or 8 blocks because of the traffic.
The fastest route from Red Hook is either to walk to Smith 9th Street,
Which is.
But it's not accessible.
yes, I understand, it's not, it's the highest station in the system and it's not accessible.
Right, and this is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's in the next batch, yeah, thank you.
I've seen the petition.
We really need to move on to Lisa's portion of the meeting, Mr. X, so really be quick if you can.
Regarding G train, if the powers that be, particularly our government had done anything my way, it would have been shortened to begin with. But they don't listen to people who no, this is the one like David Carpenter, myself, etc.
When they cut it off of Continental Avenue and stopped it at Court Square is when it got shorter, no doubt about it. Okay, Lisa.
Okay, thank you. Good meeting today, everybody. I don't believe that we have introduced PCAC's new associate director, Brian Brett. Yay! Brian.
Hi, everyone. Just really briefly, I'm Brian Fritsch, PCAC's new associate director. As Lisa mentioned, I'm 3 weeks into the job now, and feel like I'm getting my feet under me pretty quickly. I come to PCAC from directly across the street at Regional Plan Association, where I spent 3 years as the manager of advocacy campaigns, managing RPA's coalitions on the Gateway program and Penn Station and a couple of other things, contributing with PCAC to helping find federal funding for the MTA when they were facing their fiscal cliff and working on congestion pricing for many years, and then spent the last 2+ years as RPA's communications director, working on all 3 of their major issues in 3 states. So before that, worked in politics and helped launch New York City's pre-K program, worked on some statewide education coalitions, a whole mishmash of stuff that involved advocacy and communications as their general through line. So really happy to be on board and good to meet all of you and excited for making some good trouble in the near future. So thanks so much for having me.
We're thrilled to have Brian.
So you're bringing trouble, huh?
A little bit. Good trouble. Good trouble. Yeah.
After the presentation to the board during the public portion, nobody would have known that you were only here.
Yeah.
Because people always call me about everything that goes on.
You blended real.
But you knew your history, which is really good also.
Thank you.
So that you fit in right away.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
As a one communicator to another.
Excellent. Yes, we're thrilled that Brian is here and we are continuing to make some good trouble on a number of different fronts. One is ongoing dialogue with our friends and electeds in Albany regarding some of the critical pieces of legislation that we have talked about extensively over the last few months, including voting rights for our rider representatives. We may be extending those conversations a little longer than we had hoped to next year, but we've laid some terrific groundwork thanks to Jack's relationships that he's brought with him and strengthened, and we may be sending him up there next week just to rub some elbows.
It's not cold up there now.
Right, yeah, we're different shoes, right? But and really have done some terrific work with our colleagues in advocacy as well. But I want to point out and to really note a report that Kara has spearheaded and worked collaboratively on with Jack and Brian as well. But Kara's really done the labor on it. I don't want to say manual because it starts with it, man. The mapping, yeah. Graphically illustrates how many more people within New York City would benefit from fair fares expansion to 200% of the federal poverty level. It's 650,000 more people in New York. So we've got 5 more weeks till the city budget is passed on paper. And we are working closely with the Community Service Society and Riders Alliance on an approach to not just raising awareness externally, but working with our electeds closer to home on getting the message out about helping to educate them how it would benefit their constituents. So
have you had any communication with the budget office of the mayor?
We've had communications with the independent budget office. And we understand that, the city council came forward with a $1.1 billion couch cushion fund yesterday or in the previous couple of days, which meshes with the city's fine. With the IBO fine. We also know that there is a big focus on restoring cuts that have been made over the last year, so that this is a little bit of a reminder that the expansion to 200% of federal poverty level, something that's been on top of mind for council speaker and a number of other members for the last year plus, and that this is pointing out with a lot more graphically demonstrative way, in a more graphically demonstrative way. At a, what does this mean to me as a council person level? So that we can show them why.
Yeah.
Well, and Stuart,
I was just gonna say that, but you mentioned it, that making sure, it takes two to tango with the budget adoption, the mayor and the council, so making sure that the council, speaker's office and the finance division get a briefing.
yes,
And certainly the transportation committee,
yes. So,
And we know if any other cities in the US are utilizing a 200% of the federal poverty level.
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, we do. In fact, New York is the only one that uses 120%.
Wow.
And LA uses 300%. And the other cities that have similar programs use 200%. But the New York City poverty rate is here.
Yes.
And everybody else's is here.
We have a different.
So the scale of need is so much greater in our city.
Yeah.
You have the highest
Okay.
amongst the top 10 most populous US cities that have fare-based discount programs for their transit systems. We have the highest poverty rate and the lowest
Eligibility rate, yeah,
Imagine that.
that's bad, true.
Yeah.
Yes, Andrew's colleague on the board, David Jones, and I'm assuming, but anyway, David, who headed up. I know you know him. I'm just saying that David, who heads up the Community Service Society and has been for the last 30 some odd years. But fair, long before we came onto it, before
We're
anybody
working with
came.
him.
Can I finish,
Sure.
please? Thank you. But I had brought up fair. A matter of fact, that was one of the reasons that he was appointed to the MTA board 10 years ago. Because it is his, well, he has a number of different issues, but this is his major issue. So he is so pleased to be working with Andrew on the board in terms of the percentage, what you just talked about, everything else.
He's a great spokesman
And
for this.
It's his thing, but I'm going to embarrass you now. You're going to blush, but he is so glad that he has Andrew to be his ally. I think those are his words, on the whole fair situation.
Thank you. He did a great, there was a great op-ed he did in the Amsterdam News today that ties congestion pricing and fares really nicely together.
He's also been a fabulous spokesperson against, on the issue of fare evasion, targeting young Black and Latino youth. And I am, all for stopping fare evasion, and he and I agree. Stop whoever it is in whatever neighborhood it is who's beating the fare. Don't target anyone. And as I frequently like to say, the turnstile does not know your ethnicity when you jump it. It just knows the fare was evaded.
Yeah.
So we're working very closely with David's office. His communications director is a guy I've worked with for several decades. So the relationships work well. When I spoke to David yesterday,
From a number of different angles. And
when I spoke with David yesterday, it's thrilled with the report that we.
Oh, I'm sure he will be.
Christopher.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this question because since you guys are doing excellent work, I have one question to ask. As a TRC member and community outreach officer, how can we all help to encourage our elected officials in, not just in one borough, but the number of boroughs? Because this information about fares is really important for the low-income families and people with disability do get the option to use fare or the reduced fare. But the ones who are in the NYCTRC or not in the NYCTRC need to know how can I advocate?
Okay, that's a great question. Stay tuned. We'll get back to you. We would greatly appreciate your
And
help
one of
on
the
this.
benefits of this report that the staff and everybody is working on shows what city council district is likely to really benefit in a big way. And once those council members are identified, it's a no-brainer.
Right, and so one of our three key priorities that was in the FAIRS Act in the Senate budget bill that did not make it into the final enacted was to bring fare fares to commuter rails. And look, the city funds fare fares. It's not something that the MTA or the state would fund. So back of the envelope math, carried it. Would shows it could be about $5 million, 5 million, that's with an M. That's small m, right? That's not even, there's no zeros after it, so it doesn't go to capital M's. The cost of raising the eligibility to 200% would be about $55 million for the subways and buses. So we're talking about $60 million, which is, that is absolutely something at a time when we're talking about libraries and we're talking about schools and things like that. But people need to get to the libraries and people need to get to the schools. If you're building affordable housing, you need to build affordable transit. So
$5 million additional for the commuter rails is a drop in the bucket.
So we're not forgetting about the commuter rail, importance of commuter rails, but without 200%, nothing matters. Nobody gets nothing. So that's where our primary focus is there. Mr. X, I see your hand, but Maddie hasn't asked anything yet. Maddie, you can unmute.
Thank you, and hi, Andrew. Hi, Lisa. Hi, everybody. Okay. Well, first of all, I do agree with your report, Lisa, that we need to have fair fares thing because we live, in my opinion, and I said this last week at the Metro North commuter rail, that this is one of the richest states in the United States of America. No one should have to pay higher if they whether or not if they put food on the table or stuff like that.
right, great. You're right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maddie.
No problem. And
Correct.
So regarding, you stated this city has the highest poverty rate. Okay, so what do Eric Adams, Inflation Man, Joseph Biden, JB, and Kathy Hope, aka the Box Squad, plan to do from this point on? Do they plan to work with or against us?
So that is a conversation and question that's outside the purview of this discussion relating to fair fares, because this is something that we need the city to do and we need the mayor to do. So that's where we're going to narrowly focus this conversation and not take it into the realm of national politics.
Oh, so we're only using Teddy Long, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stuart.
So two things. I just wanted to pick up on something Chris said, so that in terms of, let's say it's adopted or we move forward, a way to get the message out. The city engages with persons who might be in need at HRA centers, or community boards are another way to get the message out, and certainly through free transit ads about fair fares. But has anybody pushed back and said that, gee, how is the free bus pilot program working? And maybe
It's eliminated.
Well,
Let's let Stuart finish.
right, it is, but maybe they would float that again as a different alternative in terms of achieving fair equity in areas that.
No, that's so, Jano has said repeatedly that he does not, that doesn't pay for itself, that the free bus pilot was paid for through the legislature last year. Funding wasn't extended for it for a variety of reasons, but in large part because Jano said he didn't want it. That he believes more in income-based equity programs like fair fares. And and ensuring that people.
He does, but through the legislators,
Well, Stuart, it also came up yesterday that bus fare evasion is skyrocketing.
Rampant.
It's every bus is a free bus for a lot of folks.
And there was
Between 30% and 50% fare evasion was what he was during the press conference yesterday.
Can I just,
throwing it
the
out.
legislature, the state assembly are the legislative branch of government. We also have another branch of government. It's called the governor. And eventually, whatever happens winds up on the governor's desk. And so if you're looking for who to influence, and she is very interested concerned and in what we're doing. So I've been listening to all this discussion about the legislature, the state senate, the assembly, but eventually the bill has to be signed by the governor. And anybody, you know, if you want to get to somebody, well, you all know that I know her quite well, but it can't just be me. It's got to be other people here and reaching out. As far as the thing with the free bus, that was something that was pushed through by one, Zelnor is a city.
Assembly member
Zelnor.
Mamdani, Zoran Mamdani.
And Senator Janoris.
Well, he came along, but it was
Mamdani.
And Mamdani had never had anything to do with transportation, but he went directly to the media and the governor, everybody.
All I was saying was be
expired.
prepared if people push back because of a $55 million cost. And re-tout free buses as an
No, but
serving underserved.
what I'm trying to tell you is.
I have no position on this.
So
We have one at a time, please.
So
Can I
Judy, I just want to tell Stuart that we will probably, you know, hear that argument. So far,
Right.
there's been $36 million in fare evasion on buses this year. 36.
And that's the counter argument.
That wouldn't even, that's May. Right. So that's, you know, we're headed for $350 million. That's doesn't even come
And when you
close.
combine it with subways, the anticipated loss could be between $700 and $800 million.
And I think we have to be ready.
Stuart,
That's a lot of service.
can I also respond to what you said? And it's a dirty word, but this whole thing revolves around the politics of the situation. And that's really why they finally passed it as a trial thing, because they were going to the media and the media was getting onto this. And that's the reason it was for 6 months. And that's the reason that it's going to end in September. Case closed.
Okay, that's it for that topic.
Mr. X.
Mr. X.
What we just mentioned, you know, it sounds like, again, General's more concerned about dancing like a rockette. Like he's more concerned about his personal affairs and sexual handlings. He should be more concerned about the riders.
The MTA has its own approach to supporting fair fares, and we're working with them as well.
Yeah, MTA money.
With them yesterday, to talk about to really go into some level of depth on the report that was developed, and to find out what they're doing and to see how we can collaborate, because if you know, we need to do this together. We need to do it fast.
Yeah, as I say, MTA money thrown away.
Karen,
Can I bring up a different subject?
we are on old business now,
Oh, I have old business.
and then we're gonna get to new business. Mr. X, I see your hand, so you can let the blood circulate, put it down. I will not forget you. Christopher.
Yeah, on old business, just to bring up something. Andrew, you mentioned this a couple of months. You know, we mentioned, I know I didn't get a chance to mention the Richard, but Seventh Avenue Station on the B&Q, thank God knows how to be cleaned. But you know, you're seeing lines that are getting ready to do construction. Can we please follow up? And Caitlin, if you can hear me, can we get something to follow up when they're gonna do this, the work on the edge of the platforms? Because I see the lines are getting ready. And a lot of people have been asking, and I told them, if you have those questions, put it in the app for a question, which actually works very well. So I just want to add that in. And
I thought you had told me that you saw signage that reflected when that GO was coming in, that station.
I did tell you I told you a couple, in April, it was canceled. I don't have we're waiting
Oh,
for
there
the new
must have
date.
been already, okay, but it's obviously on their radar if they had it planned.
What station is that? Chris?
Seventh Avenue.
On the B&Q.
Yeah.
Because they have the lines, looks like they're ready. The question is when are they gonna do it?
And since you brought that up, let me just remind everybody, since the MTA has been adding service over the months, in July, we're getting weekday increases on the B, D, J, and M lines to every 8 minutes. And on weekends, the 3 and the 5 lines line are going to be every 10 minutes. So more service increases coming in July. Just didn't want anyone to forget those.
Feels like the 5 runs
Say
anyway.
say that again, the times, the BDJ and M, July weekday, every,
I'll tell you.
8 minutes.
BDJ and M will be every 8 minutes weekdays. On weekends, the 3 and the 5 lines will be every 10 minutes.
it's still a long time.
Well. sometimes
Yes, but
for the five
consider that
junction,
that the
15,
5
18 minutes.
runs with the 4 a lot of the
Right.
way,
Yeah.
you know, and the 3 runs with the 2
Right.
after 135th Street, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, Stewart.
So just the old business. So I've seen an appreciable difference in the cleaning at Fulton Street and
Thank you. That's great news.
yeah, and Second Avenue. West Fourth Street still
Upper or lower platform or where? Entrances or where?
the lower plat, the F level plat.
Okay.
And
Southern end, northern end, or the whole thing?
the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But they have been targeting, I still don't understand the rhyme or reason, but definitely some of the things we mentioned are getting addressed.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah, so that was
Somebody's listening.
a good thing, yeah.
Thank you for telling us that.
Yeah, great.
We've been hyping and harping on Fulton Street since you started.
And it's
Adamant about.
appreciably different.
Wow.
They even washed the tiles.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. X.
Okay, regarding old business, as I said before. Express service between 8th Avenue, 7th Avenue. And Willoughby Street, J Street needs to be restored. Earlier this year, I rode it down to have train between the 2 points and it ran express. On the express track, I couldn't recognize Bourbon Street. It's so dark down there. But, and then recently, it ran express on the opposite express track between the 2 points. So therefore, express service from 8th Avenue, which means 8th Avenue, doesn't mean 7th Avenue, to Willoughby Street, which I told J Street and Willoughby Street, needs to be restored at all times. As you know, once used between 1968 and 1976, before and after my time during rush hours only, which is good but inadequate, it needs to be used at all times. Now that the G train was extended Church Avenue at all times in 2009, you can have to have train run express at 2 points. You don't need both trains running local.
Where do you want the express between? What 2 points?
8th Avenue, which means 8th Avenue, but doesn't mean 7th Avenue.
8th Avenue and 14th Street?
No. 7th
8th
Avenue
Avenue?
Station, 7th Avenue Station, I'm saying,
7th Avenue Station. Thank you.
it doesn't mean 7th Avenue, it means 8th Avenue. Then we got Willoughby Street Station, which lands on J Street and Willoughby Street.
So just to note, the Bergen Street lower level, all the tiles have been removed, all the
Oh, yeah.
furnishings have been.
After that fire.
If they were, and the, on the northbound platform, the relay room, it would have to have a major capital renovation if they had to reopen that.
It would indeed. And I'm personally happy that there's only 2 F expresses in the predominant, because Bergen Street and Carroll Street now produce an awful lot of riders. And to bypass them is, you know, and Smith 9th Street does too. Smith 9th Street is what serves Red Hook.
Yeah,
There are 3 what?
3 Diamond Fs.
I didn't think there were 3. I saw 2 listed, but
Sometimes some are delayed, they do run it.
I will be very happy.
I ride that train.
When the CBTC work is done and the F on weekends goes beyond Kings Highway. That's a long time coming.
Jason has his hand up. Jason, we haven't heard from you yet.
No, we haven't.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with Deborah here at Lower Manhattan. I want a little clarification from Stewart. Is he referencing Fulton Street Transit Center here in Manhattan or Fulton Street in Brooklyn? Because when he mentioned Fulton Street,
Jason, Manhattan.
Okay, thank you. Let's just say Fulton Street Transit Center to be more clear.
Okay, we will do that.
No problem.
Hopefully, we don't have to talk about that anymore.
Right. Hopefully it just, yeah.
In terms of cleaning I'll say I have no complaints in terms of cleaning, but one thing that I could mention, I have seen some bathrooms that having toilet papers. And in some stations in Manhattan, but we are going to address this directly with Demetrius. But other than that, everything is okay, at least for now.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
New business?
Wait, Maddie, do you have another question?
In relation to old business, I wanted to say something. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for a great Autism Awareness Month last month. As mentioned, I was not available at last month's meeting, so I want to make that clear. And the second thing is, I'm not sure if this is going to be related or not, but please forgive me if I do, if it isn't. One of the things last year is I wanted to get the opinion of the council on, I spoke about this last year at several MTA board about extending the Staten Island Railway from Tottenville to either Perth Amboy or South Amboy, New Jersey. I wanted to get the board's opinion on that. That was my second object. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, I think going over the water to Perth Amboy would be wonderful. I also think getting Staten Islanders access to Newark Airport with a direct bus would be wonderful. That's the closest airport for Staten Islanders. I mean, there is no direct service to Newark Airport, which makes
I
no
know
sense.
that's over the Arthur Kill.
Yep. No, I think that's a fine idea. I'm always for expansion. Thank you.
Just have to figure out who's gonna pay for it.
Okay, I think we're.
Jesse has his hand up.
Oh,
Sharon,
Jesse,
is this
go ahead.
newer? Sharon, is this new or old?
Hi, guys.
I don't,
Can you hear me?
Let's get Jesse and then we'll go
Then
to
we'll do
Sharon.
you.
Okay.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Jesse,
Yeah, thank you for praying for me during my illness. I'm fine. I just gave.
Tell him to talk into the microphone.
we can't hear you, Jesse. We need to start a little bit louder.
Can you speak a little louder,
I
please?
just gave you,
praying for
I
him.
speak. I just gave you my report that I was meant to bring up yesterday. It says, I hereby support phase 3 all the way, and I look
On demand, talking about.
suggestion pricing. This is the new MTA, no longer the old MTA. We spring forward, not fall backwards. Have a
Thank
seat.
you.
And I believe in expansion and all that stuff too. So, yeah.
And Jesse, surely you know that we know that the 8th Avenue line is on the upper level of West Fourth and the 6th Avenue line is at the lower level. Surely you know we know that.
He's just having fun.
I know. And also Jesse, in advance of a month, they thank you for your service and every day.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, new business.
Let's go to new
Sharon.
business. Sharon and then Mr. X, because he has this. I think, Sharon and Kristen.
first quick thing is, could we have an accessibility sign at Roosevelt Avenue on the 7? Because the elevator is way off.
Way off over
There
there.
was no sign. We're going back and forth and back and forth
Sign indicating where the
It's
elevator.
really hard to find.
You know what happened.
on Roosevelt on the 7. And the other thing is.
74th Street, yeah.
Chris, can you put
This
that
sort
in?
of relates to the business about Perth Amboy and everything is there's that very articulate group of people supporting through running. And they have very good arguments and they say Andy Byford supports it. It's being done in Washington and Baltimore. We know more about it.
I've heard many different viewpoints on it, and let's just say in the last 2 days, it's a really good thing we didn't have through running. Have you seen the Amtrak and New Jersey Transit
Maybe.
service issues with the catenary, with the wire between New York and Newark? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Did you see how many people were camping out?
3-hour delays last night.
Don't mention it.
I read.
No, it's a thought, and a lot of people are in favor of it, and certain things would need to have to be done to Penn Station to allow that.
And to all the track rides and
Gateway.
everything, but they address all of that.
We need that backup tunnels.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff. It has its merits. There's no doubt about it. That way you could run a train from Murray Hill to Murray Hill, New Jersey.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it could develop all the area, the way they're doing in Paris, where they're developing that whole
And
area.
when Penn Access starts having trains, running through from Stamford to New Brunswick or
Yeah.
Trenton makes loads of sense. That would be wonderful.
So we can, Well,
I think that the fundamental question, and this is something I've worked on.
I know, but the regional.
Yeah, he's worked a lot.
Is whether you can retrofit the existing
Yeah,
station,
they have figures on all of that.
which is incredibly difficult because
Yeah.
of some of the,
answer.
especially the interlockings, but there's a number of considerations, or whether you need to build the expansion part of the station to allow for through running, which is what Amtrak currently envisions. So,
And Brian, let's not forget, the majority of Long Island trains use third rail and New Jersey has catenary.
true.
Yeah,
You
no,
need a hybrid vehicle or a dual mode vehicle or something.
they do address all of that. But anyway,
Livable shoes.
Excuse me, I do have an answer about 74th Street. I just got from Sharon you're on Sharon, I meant Sarah Berry. And I did put that complaint in because I was there actually, and we found out signs are being stolen. And just to let you know, as well as Korea has been working, as well as me and Korea have been working on Kalia. I'm trying to say thank you, Andrew. With the signs to be a little lower instead of being on high in the ceiling. So we're working on some newer signs.
They do announcements on the trains, right?
no.
No,
The
yeah,
seven
they
train-
do say.
No, it'd be budget, not if you go from to 7.
Oh, yeah.
No, the 7 train and Lisa's correct one part. They will say where the elevator is located
They do say.
on the computer train.
If you're come on that train, if you come upstairs from the R, you haven't.
The signages are being refixed on that station because the Senator Jessica has been with the government relations and they're working on.
Anyway, just.
As long as it's being acted on, because you gotta have that.
It is being active and as I said, I will be watching that.
Thank you. And Chris, there's an update in the chat on,
7th Avenue.
Yes, we're at 7th Avenue.
there is not an update on the Seventh Avenue platform at GOs.
We'll let-
Kate will
they'll let
follow
us
up
know.
once it's calendared.
Yep.
Love you, Caitlin. Kate, she knows.
Okay.
All right, new business continued. Mr. X.
Okay,
And then-
so there's 2 issues. One for the PCAC, one for the MTA, particular odd couple. It's all of what happened to me in April. Because that Metro card I showed you was damaged, I had to take long walks, try walking to Jacoby Hospital from 1A Street, Katona Avenue. That could.
That's a walk.
Let me put it this way, when I, on my way home, the portion between my knees and waist was on fire. And I don't mean this girl on fire. So you've heard that song before.
Mr. X, I mentioned this to you. As soon as, I don't know how long now you've been without the Metro card. But the moment that it didn't work, couldn't you have gone to one of the customer service centers, of which there are several now?
What happened was that fare card I showed you malfunctioned on 4/20. I showed it to you on 4/24. But what I did was, because I didn't want to spend extra money that I don't have. And I was only running the bus, I just put it, just swiped it and say, look, I put money on it, I don't know what happened. So I was at 1A Street. I just, as a female station to use her machine to touch, she couldn't do it, it was inactive. That's okay, fine. So 4/24, I showed it to you, said it was damaged. But you understand that I put money on it on 4/12, the same day, one of my favorite comedians, Dave Lemon turned 77. That's for the current period between 4/22 and 5/22. What happened? Malfunction 5/20, 4/20. So I have to take long walks and burn. And I don't mean burn.
Walk over to Stone Street when you leave.
Okay,
Seriously, go.
so that's one issue. Okay,
Just go around the corner
Yes, it's around the.
and you'll get it taken care of.
right, that's one issue, but I just wanted just to tell the odd couple, they need to clean up their acts. That's why I don't take long.
Okay.
walks.
What's your next one? We've got.
I have new business.
Okay, but did you have one other thing?
I just forgot what it was.
Okay, we'll come back.
We'll come back.
Chris.
Chris.
Yes, I do have new business because this is from Q who asked me to share this. And yes, Trudy, I did email you. MTA accessibility is having 2 public hearings about congestion pricing for people with disability. And that's including, it doesn't have to be disability, like Sharon, if you have a disability, you can also get that information as well. There are 2 webinars, May 29th from 2 to 3 on Zoom, or June 10th from 11 to 12. They're asking to registration, please register for one of those meetings so that you can get all the information you need. With that, it's also a customer service center telephone number if you need help how to get the process. So that has been going out and it did go to all community boards. Community Board 13 has it already in Brooklyn because he's already driving me nuts. You know who I'm talking about, Stuart. We are aware right now that we are getting more accessible stations. I'd like to say to a lot of TRC members, thank you for reminding everyone to please put support letters. It's actually up by 65%.
Yeah, and.
What's up by 65%?
People are putting support letters.
Excellent.
Support letters, petition and letters, sending them not just to the MTA, but to elected officials, because now they're woke up from their nice, good sleep and they're agreeing to work with us. Not just one party, both sides, to really listen to their community. So it has been working very well. And I just want to make that very clear.
Could we make sure that we especially invite Q to come to Sanford on June 6th, because he has been doing some remarkable work pro congestion pricing with the disability community, and he and Sam should meet, if not, and then some other time, we can work on getting them together after that.
We can invite him.
But let's make sure we invite him on the 6th, special invitation.
So noted.
Okay, other new business. You thought of it, okay.
Franklin Island Shuttle, if the powers that be rebuild it, it'll become the Franklin Island logo. All they have to do is expand Prospect Park and Forestry stations, build a passage what Park Station is, dismiss it, then it become the Franklin Island logo because it can run all the way down to Coney Island. And also, the portion between Ocean Parkway and the Brooklyn Aquarium needs to be rebuilt and reused by local transit all the time. It's been closed since 1954. That's 70 years down the drain. That's most of your life, if not all of it.
You want to do away with the Park Place?
No, that's not what I said. Well, yes, I don't, because Park Place takes lights between Fulton Street and the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. So if you expand Fulton Street, Franklin Avenue, Fulton Street, and Botanic Garden stations to come to Tancar Lake, you won't need the in-between Central Park.
We've already done away with the Dean Street station. Why would we want to do away with another one?
What I'm saying is, if you expand Franklin Avenue and Prospect Park stations, so they come to Tancar Lake, you have Park Place in between. You can put passageways from both stations to where that spot is. And then it becomes a Franklin Avenue local, you bring down the Coney Island. You got the unused trap bed that's been unused. It's been lights between Prospect Park, the Brooklyn Aquarium and Ocean Parkway. It's been closed since 1954, which is most of your life, if not all of it. It's been used by local trains all those years.
All right, so here's the thing. If without congestion pricing, we're not even going to get electric buses. So let's focus on the things that are needed for the care and feeding of the system that we have now, before we talk about the system that that could be.
Well,
I think
you just
that's
reminded me that a much better and inclusive transfer between the Botanic Garden Station and the 2, 3, 4, 5 on Eastern Parkway would be nice.
Yeah.
But we don't have that at the moment.
You do have a transfer.
Yes, but not
accessible.
Not the kind I'm talking about. Like we're gonna get at Junius and Livonia and everything.
Also, including that proposal, we built a downtown track next to the uptown track above Botanic Garden. There's not space there. There's no need to dismiss it.
Matty has his hand raised.
Yes, he does.
Matty, I think that you're it, and then we're gonna go.
All right, I just wanted to wish everybody a very happy and healthy Memorial Day weekend. And yeah, and I sent an email,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because I sent you an email about the 88 task
They
force, so
say-
let you know, dude.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating, and I wish everybody a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and
Safe travels.
safe travel.
Safe
Yes.
travels.
And the travels. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Go to Boston and back tomorrow on the bus.